Hello and welcome to another Royal Reviewer live pop-up chat. Now, I am back sooner than what I thought at the time that I found out about it. So, roughly within the past 15 minutes, there has been, as I will, confirmed by the palace. However, that there could be some degree of truth in this. So, without further ado, let's go to the main article. Now, I am going to share the links in this so that you can follow exactly what I'm reading. You can go and you can make your own minds up on this. So, I'm going to copy and paste the link. And of course, if you're watching on catch up, I will put that in the description box as well. But without further ado, let me go and find the live stream and see who is around tonight. So, hello to Dawn and Christine, who are channel members. That's why they show up in green and have the badge. So, here we go. I'm posting the link from what I'm going to be reading. If it's buffering, just refresh. That's all you've got to do, and hopefully it won't be too bad. Right, let me start with the article. Now, this story was broken by Rebecca English of the Daily Mail, and the headline reads, and this is why I put in quotes the title of this video. Queen bans Prince Harry. Now, I would say that bans is a pretty strong word, and we'll get into that why. I'll dissect why I'm not terribly keen on the word bans, but exclusive. The Queen bans Prince Harry and Meghan, and they used the word Markle, from using Sussex Royal brand that cost them thousands of pounds to create because they simply cannot market themselves as royal. Now, cast your minds back to the time when Harry and Meghan decided to step back from royal duty. Cast your minds back to the time of the Sandringham summit, and the way that the Queen and Prince Charles and Prince William agreed that Harry and Meghan would still be valued members of the British royal family, but they were allowing them to step away, to step down, and to earn their own living and to try to become financially independent from the spring of 2020 with a year in review. So they would review how things were going on. There was also, at the time, it was announced that there were lots of things to still work through. There were lots of loose ends. And a big question around that was the use of royal in their brand Sussex Royal. We know their Instagram account is called Sussex Royal. We know that their charitable foundation was going to be called was going to be based on Sussex Royal. But people were saying, how are they going to commercialise themselves while still retaining the word royal in Sussex Royal? One of the things that I spoke about that could have been a possible way forward would have been maybe to have kept the Sussex Royal brand purely for the charitable foundation, and therefore perhaps they could raise money using the word royal for charity. And then maybe using a different brand, a different name for anything that they are doing commercially for themselves. Because, of course, if they are going to be financially independent, there is going to have to be a point somewhere along the line where they are going to have to make some money. And that will mean commercial deals, it will mean brand deals, it will mean speaking events or voiceovers or whatever it might be. I think people have got to just accept that at some point they're going to have to do that. But the question was, under what branch, under what vehicle would they do that? Would they do it would they do everything under the Sussex Royal brand? We know that they have tried to protect certain things like stationery, magazines, newspapers, clothing. The list was quite exhaustive. But it appears now that Rebecca English for the Daily Mail has got wind that a decision has been made on whether they are able to use royal in Sussex Royal or not. And at this point in time, it's not looking likely. It's looking like that they will probably have to rebrand and come up with something different. I said at the time it would be quite hard to square off any use, any association with the word royal, with their royal connections, to make any kind of money on the scale that I think they want to. We're not talking a low key business. We're not talking a furniture business like David Linley, who's not royal anyway. But you know, we're not talking a job in an art gallery that's paying under £30,000. We're talking big money, and that is not going to square up in terms of using royal. Going off royal connections to make money. Yes, the royal family have agreed that Harry and Meghan can go and they can make their own money. But the question was always, under what vehicle are they going to do it? So let's just read a little bit more of the article and see if we can dissect it a little bit further. So it says, following lengthy and complex talks, the Queen and senior officials are believed, and I do stress the word believed, to have agreed it is no longer tenable for the couple to keep the word royal in their branding. I will say at this point as well, usually we get stories that may be fake news. Typically on a Saturday night ahead of Sunday for the Sunday papers. It's not Sunday. I don't think they would have gone with this story if they didn't 100% either have inside information or believe that it was actually going to be true. This isn't a Saturday night going into Sunday to fill the Sunday paper story. This is we're getting on to midweek, and I think this seems plausible to me. And I don't think Rebecca English would have stuck her neck on the line and said that if it wasn't plausible. So bear that in mind as we carry on reading it. So they continue, it has now been made clear that they will need to rebrand. The Mail understands that amid what has been described as a complex situation, the fine detail is still being thrashed out. So again, what I said during the Sandringham summit, we had, we had the idea of what had been discussed, what was allowed, what was permitted, what was under review, but we didn't have the nuts and bolts of exactly how it was going to work. It continues, however, it is understood that the couple have accepted that as part of their new working arrangements, they will not be able to use the Sussex Royal name as they had hoped. Now that, is likely to include maybe rebranding the Instagram account, rebranding the website. I don't think it's something that Harry and Meghan would have considered necessarily that they would have to do. I don't think they'd have launched a website, for example, if they'd have thought that, a few months down the line, they would have had to have changed it and rebranded it. However, this is not, if this comes to be true, if this comes to pass, it is not a complete disaster for Harry and Meghan. They can rebrand. They can choose a different name, a different brand. I don't think it's going to harm their brand in any particular way. I still think they're going to be able to go out there and make their own money. So this is not a big disaster, but it is nevertheless, I think, a development. And of course, as soon as anything is actually confirmed with regards to this, which I would imagine now that this has come out, expect to hear something within the week, I would probably say. Let me just see if I can scan down and see if there's anything else that was actually said. I did read this before. No. Here we go. Such is the sensitivity around the issue. Buckingham Palace officials would not discuss the developments last night. So this is something that the Daily Mail were obviously contacting the palace about last night. Now, they've obviously decided, in the absence of any talk from Buckingham Palace, to still run with the story. If this is not true in any way, shape, or form, this would leave quite a lot of egg on their faces. Let's put it that way. So it says all members of the family, including Harry and Meghan, were involved in the discussions, and it is understood they all agreed that in light of the Sussex's decision to step back, their use of the word royal would come into question. To be fair, it would be quite precarious to use royal in it, because it would come under constant scrutiny. To be perfectly honest, I think Harry and Meghan would be better off not using it. I think they'd be better off coming up with something different and then being able to really go for it, which I think would probably be more in line with what they actually want anyway. Now, there is another article which kind of explains a little bit more about how this all works. Now, going back to my earlier comment when I first opened this video, I said that I didn't like the use of the word bans because the Queen hasn't necessarily banned them from using it. It hasn't necessarily come from the Queen herself. It is actually a matter of UK law. Now, in UK law, if you read the article that I've just posted, it does describe that there are certain laws in the UK which govern how the word royal or anything to do with royal connections can actually be used. And to cut a very long story short, that's how we have, for example, royal warrants. Companies in the UK, there is a list of words which companies are not permitted to set up as. There are certain words that you cannot trade against. And one of those words, one of those protected words, is the use of royal. And this goes back hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years when people used to try and profit off the back of royal connections. And basically, laws were introduced to protect that. So, one of those words is royal. And obviously, Harry and Meghan are using Sussex royal. So, it's actually an act of law that they perhaps would not be able to use that. So, if you read that article, it does explain that a lot more, a lot better. So it says it was never going to meet with the approval of the ultimate arbiter on all things royal, the Queen. Now that sentence as well, I think, is kind of pertinent because even if in some locations in the world you can trademark that word because it doesn't have any connotations, for example, maybe in the States, but Harry still has a grandmother who is the Queen. Harry still has respect for the Queen and ultimately his father, who is going to become king. If the Queen is uncomfortable with that use, then that matters. That actually counts for something. Harry also, in their statement that they released with conjunction with the palace, they said that they were going to uphold the standards and values of Her Majesty the Queen. Therefore, they will take into consideration what the Queen thinks is going to be best for Harry and Meghan and ultimately the royal family. You'll remember back to when Harry and Meghan decided to announce that they were going to step back from royal duties. I said that the royal family would go into self-preservation mode, that nothing and no one individual is bigger than the institution of monarchy. And I said that they would try and protect the monarchy. This is what we are seeing now. And I am in no doubt in my head that at some point this is likely to be confirmed by the palace as an arrangement going forward. And here we go. So this is the actual kind of legal information. For the definition of what is and what is not royal, it's not just a matter of regal whim. The Queen is actually governed by several pieces of legislation, including the Trademarks Act 1994, and even the Paris Convention for the Protection of Industrial Property 1883. Since time immemorial, people have attempted to trade on royal connections, which is why there have been strict rules governing everything from the use of the royal arms to the use of the crowns on cereal packets. It is not a case of monarchs jealously guarding the perks of office. It is about protecting the public from fraud and misrepresentation. No monarch wants someone buying faulty goods or being taken for a ride by some hackster claiming some sort of bogus royal provenance. It was for precisely that reason that the Royal Warrant Holders Association came into being in the 19th century. To this day, royal warrants are granted to companies which must have supplied the royal household over a period of several years. If royal custom ceases, then so does the warrant. They are not bought or sold, nor are they a company asset. They are registered to an individual at the company. And there we go. So it's also, in the UK, a matter of law. Let's go and have a look and see exactly what people are saying. So I'm going to kind of skip up a little bit and then go down. By the way, any member that is in green is a channel member, so hello to you guys. If you're wondering why some people were different colours and had different badges by their name. Becky Ray says, would it be a big deal to change their label? I don't think so. You can easily change a website, I think. With Instagram, you can just change the name of Instagram. And I think it would cut them loose a little bit if they did actually let go of the word royal. I think then if you get rid of all of that association, you are a lot more free to be able to do exactly what you want to do. So like I said before at the top of this video, I don't think it's some kind of big disaster. I think it's actually something in the long run that could benefit Harry and Meghan. Let's go down even more. Let's go down. Kyrie says they are not being punished. The royal family has to protect the brand. They will be okay if they play their cards right. I agree with the first part. I mean, I don't even think it's about necessarily playing their cards right. It's just about you have to protect your own self. Harry and Meghan have got to protect themselves. The royal family, the rest of the royal family, the institution of monarchy has also got to protect itself. I don't think it's going to be a really big deal for them to just change, to drop the use of the royal in Sussex Royal. They are more than capable of coming up with something different that is going to be equally as successful as using Sussex Royal. Right, let's have a look. AA says this is good news for Harry and Meghan, fresh start. I kind of agree with that too. Let's go down again. Right. So I am going to go now. It's quite late here in the UK. And obviously any developments that come up over the coming days, over the coming weeks, I will of course let you know. Again, I will say, I said it at the beginning of this chat, I said it in the middle, and I'll say it at the end. Buckingham Palace has not confirmed this story, but it does sound to me to be plausible. There are many different kind of clues in there which kind of lead me to think that. Also, lots of other journalists who do have some kind of information are also talking a lot about this. So this is a topic that does need talking about. And even if we don't hear anything for a while, this is something which needs discussing and needs squaring off, because at the moment we don't know necessarily how Harry and Meghan plan to go forward to actually to become financially independent. So I am going to go now and leave everyone to digest this information. So if you have enjoyed this video, please give it a big old thumbs up. Don't forget to share on social media, and also do hit the bell so that you know whenever I upload a new video. Also, please do remember to subscribe to the channel. So from me in Shropshire, mwah, to you all, and good night.